First, I would like to share with you my acquaintance and friendship with Dr. 𝐶𝐘. We call him Shamu, as many of you must have heard. You just saw that we inaugurated, launched Research Institute of Science and Technology in this campus, but this is not the first time RIST has come to this campus. It is registered with DM College of Science Complex as its official address, and Shamu has been instrumental in from the very first day of the founding of the institute. We had the first meeting in Manipur University, and right after the first meeting, Dr. 𝐶𝐘 interviewed me on behalf of ISTV, and we had a very long exchange of views and our views of how we could have such an institute. So I'm very happy to be here with your director, Dr. 𝐶𝐘, and to be able to share some time with you all. Interesting to talk about Earth system because it is important to us. We live on Earth, we want to protect it, and we want to enjoy our lives on Earth. And there are many issues facing the Earth physically. Climate change and so many other things. In the same time, there are science problems that we like to understand and learn. And when we say Earth system, we have the Earth, the ground, which is the solid Earth, the oceans and rivers, that's the hydro or the water part of the Earth, and then the air above it, the atmosphere. So that's all familiar to us. A little beyond that, above that, something different happens. The air, as you know, is a gas, right? Everyone knows that. It contains oxygen, it contains nitrogen, it contains other things, and it even has things we don't want it to be there, pollutants and things like that. But these are all neutral. Collection of particles which has no charge, electric charge, okay? You all know about electric charge. If you rub two clothes together in a dry weather like in this season, there will be sparks. Rubbing clothes or something together and tiny sparks flying. Yes, yes. So that's because you have created charge by rubbing the clothes or something else. So that's called ionization. And the X-ray machine you have there is an example. How are the X-rays generated in that machine? You have electrons, very energetic electrons generated inside the machine, and that falls on a metal plate, and that gives rise to the X-rays. So you have charged particles like the electrons and ions too. Above the atmosphere, there are charged particles floating around us, and that's called ionosphere. And that's where the plasma, that is a charged particle, collection of charged particles start. Have you heard of ionosphere? Yes, good. Have you heard of shortwave radio? Everyone has different things now, TV and things. When we were small, we used to listen to the radio, regular radio. And FM even was not very popular those days. We had AM, that is amplitude modulation, and in that we had the regular, that is you have a station, All India Radio Imphal, and the waves come from there to your house and or your radio set, and you listen to it. Or the waves could be launched from far away, and then it gets reflected from above us, and then you receive it here. For example, we used to listen to BBC, the British Broadcasting Corporation's broadcast. That's far away. The signals that they launch, the radio waves, cannot come directly to us, but they get reflected from above us in the ionosphere and then comes to us. So the ionosphere, the charged particles there, they play a very important role. And from then on, matter is essentially ionized. You find very little neutral particles. So in the sun, matter is completely ionized. Do you have anyone know what the temperature is of the sun, the surface of the sun? It's very hot. It's about 1,000,000 degrees. And what's the temperature here? It's about 10, 15 maybe Celsius today. So you can think of the surface of the sun as something which is 100,000 times hotter than what we see here. And at that temperature, you cannot have neutral particles. So at that temperature, everything gets ionized. And what we see of the sun are because of the processes that are produced in the ionized gas, the plasma. If you, who has Facebook accounts? Anyone? No one? Everyone has Facebook accounts. You don't want to say it. You will find Facebook groups on solar physics, and I was going to show you my Facebook page and then movies, but we'll do that some other time. Or YouTube, Google, look for solar corona, and you will see beautiful pictures of what the sun looks like and that dynamic picture of it, things coming out of it, loops of magnetic field and others coming out of it. So the sun is a very dynamic object. We just see the visible light which is radiated by the sun, but along with that many other things happen. This ionized gas along with the fields come from the sun, and they propagate all the way to the earth, and it disturbs the environment around the earth, including the ionosphere. There's something called magnetosphere also. We'll not go into that today. So charged particles and the radiation from the sun comes to earth, things happen to the environment around the earth, to the ionosphere. We talked about radio waves being reflected by the ionosphere. When there is something going on in the sun, which we call solar storm, this reflection can be interrupted, and you do not receive it. And we used to experience it when we were young. We used to listen to BBC or Voice of America, and sometimes it will be very noisy. You will not hear it properly. That's because things coming from the sun have disturbed the ionosphere, and you're not able to get the signal properly. So this is as if we have a bad weather. What happens in the bad weather around us? We have clouds, you can have hurricanes, you can have storms and hails, disturbed conditions of the atmosphere. So just like we have weather around us, you can have space weather which can be disturbed, and disturbed by the sun. And that affects many things, not humans directly, we do not see them, but there are many things, such as the satellites through which you get the signals for your GPS or many other things, telecommunications. So they get disturbed very severely by the conditions on the sun. That is the space weather. So one of the things I do is to try to predict what the space weather will be. Just like the meteorologists predict whether it will be good weather or bad weather today, tomorrow, 1 week from now, I study space weather and try to make predictions. How I do it will sort of postpone that for another or future occasion, but that's one of the things I do. So let me take a break and ask if you have questions or things you want to know a little bit more about what we have talked so far. Feel free to speak up and ask. Yes, that's exactly the word. That's for interact. I did not come to lecture you. I came to interact with you. That means I tell you something and you tell me something also. Hango yai kaida I tell on that English and don't be intimidated by the fact that I come from US. I'm from here. I'm just like any of you. One of the things is in this college, community college, you are preparing to face the world faster or earlier than other colleges. You are doing more practical things. Instead of just taking a BSc or BA or something, you are taking more specific profession-oriented courses. You will be facing the world earlier than the typical degree holders. So you have to be prepared.